A lot going on in the baseball world here. We've got NFBC main events to talk about. We got some players getting called up to the majors. We got guys getting sent down. Most importantly, we have baseball this week. All coming up next on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Happy Sunday evening, everybody. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. We are sponsored by Underdog and Fantrax. We appreciate their support throughout this entire Major League Baseball preseason. I am Scott Jenstad, joined as always on Sunday nights by Jeff Erickson. If you please rate and review the podcast, we would greatly appreciate that. Jeff, we actually saw each other in person this weekend. I know it's a weird thing in this world. Usually everything is on the computer these days, but saw each other in person. How is everything for you tonight?
Hectic, but awesome.
Yeah.
We had a great time in Vegas. Did
one of the best weekends there, I think. It was just like everything was scheduled well. We had stuff going on the whole time. It was really fun to see people, and it was really good.
I gotta say, the draft room at Mirage was awesome. I like that room. I think better than the Bellagio where we've been before, especially because we had 8 drafts going at once.
And it didn't feel like we were on top of each other at all. Like
exactly.
It was eight drafts, and you want that exposure and experience of like everybody in the same room. But I didn't feel like you could hear names, but it was better than it was before in terms of hearing names. You couldn't fully it wasn't like in your face. You're hearing.
They put the walls between the when you were in a row, there was a wall blocking, and that matters. It does. Yeah. There was enough space to the next set over. You could see him, but not necessarily. You could hear, but not hear everything. It was great. Helped that we were in the corner too. I like being in the corner like that for a draft. I
was in the complete opposite corner, but I was in the corner also too. So it was nice. It was a really good setup. Obviously, the contest set up by Greg and Tom and Derek are just first class. It was everything was great. Yeah. Everything was really well run. They had food there for breaks. It was great. It's the main events are always fun. People that talk to us or listen to us. Anybody that has ever thought about coming out to Vegas for any of those events, I can't recommend it anymore. Really good people too. Like it's funny. You get that many people, you're always going to run into someone who's kind of a you know what. I really don't have that experience at these things. I enjoy meeting everybody. Obviously there's people that I'm really close to that I love seeing, but also, the people I meet for the first time, a lot of people walk up to me and be like, hey, listen to the podcast. I want to introduce myself. And, it's always, it's never easy for people to do. And I found that a lot. And obviously I think we're pretty approachable and talk to everybody. And it was really good to meet a lot of people who play the game and also listen to us. It was a lot of fun to hear people say.
Oh yeah. It's awesome. I contrast it a little bit with FSGA, which is a good event and a lot of industry folk, but it's also a little bit more business oriented. Where this, I know almost everybody there. It's awesome. Right. And then those I haven't met before, everybody's very happy to see each other and introduce themselves and all that. It's so cool. It's just a blast. The whirlwind weekend continued for me too today because I had a soccer tournament, which we won, which is great for my daughter.
Congrats. Nice.
And my awesome AL only home league, the one that started Roto News, which became RotoWire. Peter Shanky, Herbill, Ken Kreitz from RotoWire, as well as another bunch of players. Jeff Bookbinder, the guy that introduced me to Pete. So it started my career connection, and he introduced me to my wife too. So he's like a primary nexus in my life. So
we call him the real MVP right there. That's Pete and your wife. That's a pretty good combo.
Yes, exactly. So it was a fun draft, old school AL only 4x4. Where we bid on instead of $260 budget, we have a $15 budget because that's what we could afford back when we started the league back in the 90s. And did dime increments.
I would say you must bid in quarters or dimes or something then.
Dimes, and the best part is you could, if you want to buy 14 players with your $15, you can do that. One guy, Bill Reeder, did that. Another, someone else, Russ Havernick, bought all 26 players, including all 3 of his reserves with his budget. So you can do it. It's a lot of flexibility to it too.
If you're short, you get to like pick up guys in a reserve draft or something.
Yeah, so it's a longer reserve draft. Like I left 2 open active roster spots with my budget, so I had 5 players in the reserves. Also, the other cool thing is we grandfather in the Brewers in the American League too.
All right, so you have 16 teams then?
Yes, 16 MLB teams, 11 teams in our league. So
but you count the Astros as AL.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Gotcha.
So the height of our hypocrisy knows no bounds, but that's fine. Gotcha. I like it.
You got some Midwest people, so keeping Milwaukee in there is probably.
Oh yeah.
So So we did have drafts, and with drafts on a Sunday night, Jeff, comes Fab. There was some Fab this week. My first team I drafted was yesterday, so I put a few moves in. I had a pitcher that got sent down, but in some of the 12-team RotoWire Online Championship leagues, there were some big things. There were some Anthony Volpe list teams, some free agent bidding there. A lot of David Robertson, Adam Ottavino, obviously the people that drafted before Edwin Diaz got hurt. I know you did a 12-team Online Championship. When did you draft it far enough ahead of time where like Robertson and Ottavino were available?
Yeah, Robertson was available. I didn't get him. He went for like 360, I want to say.
Yeah, I imagine bids had he was available in my yogurt league, and he went for 400. So
16 is what he went for. He was also available in my yogurt league. And now name my team Yogurt, so Erickson Yogurt. So I know that I can find that right away whenever I'm looking like it, because I have a mess of NFBC Universe teams. Robertson went 377 in that one there. Yeah. Ottavino went for 231. So that's a lot of money spent on two possible closers.
Yeah.
Because they haven't named yet, right?
Nope.
Unless something happened today, because my in touchness with the news is a little lacking right now.
They haven't named, and I assume they're not going to name. I think it's going to be who comes out of that door in the 8th and 9th inning for the first save. There's a number of teams like that, so it's going to be the door openings in the 7th, 8th, and 9th is going to be pretty interesting.
John Franco's coming through that door.
Oh, that'd be nice. A little Jesse Orozco come out there, throw the glove up in the air for the championship. It was good times. My mind's in the 80s. We drove, we did the drive with our friend Vlad Sedler, the Roto Gut, famous
Goot. Roto Goot, as I used to call him.
Famous fantasy player that obviously everybody knows. And then Tim Schuler, who's a great human being. Not as many people know, but he works with you at RotoWire. But Tim is heavy in the trivia. Randomly comes up in the drive. Like he'll have trivia questions. So my mind is in the 80s and 90s because that's
which is where you won all those contests anyhow. So that should be like home.
I'm really good at those. Like I get to like 2005 and it kind of gets fuzzy. I don't know what happened there, but I guess I just got old. But it was really fun. I love Tim. It's always fun driving up and back with you guys. It makes we like pulled into like 20 minutes from your house. I dropped you off first, and I realized that like holy hell, that drive went really fast.
Yeah, both on the way there and the way back. It's beautiful. It's such a better drive when you have this good conversation going. It just goes by.
Usually like getting to State Line on the way there is such a long drive. Then once you get State Line is fast, but like we pulled up and we were at State Line. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're almost here. We pulled into Vegas. It was really fast. It was awesome.
Yeah. And you get the Dale Earnhardt Award of the weekend there for driving both ways. So appreciate you for that.
I enjoy driving. I'm a little bit weird about that. I know some people love being driven and just kind of hanging out and be able to do stuff while I drive, but I actually enjoy driving. So it was a pleasure, and you guys were good passengers, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was great.
Anybody you meet for the first time this year that you really enjoyed find yourself talking to? I mean, to put you on the spot, but anybody new that you talked to that you really liked?
God, I can't even think right now. But there's lots of cool people that I met for the first time.
Yeah, it's really a good group. People I met before. I think Jason Anthony and Mark Winokur are like the two greatest human beings. Like every time I see those guys, I love it. I talked to Jenny Butler, who's a really good player. I had seen her many times, but I talked to her for the first time this weekend. We talked in the sports book for a while. She's really, really cool, really, really smart, and apparently likes every sport. We talked to every sport I could bring up. She had bets on or could talk about or played fantasy with. So it was really cool to get to know her a little better too. She's
exactly.
Cool. Yeah. Anybody else in Fab? What'd you do? Did you do anything in the main? I know you guys had Oswald Peraza. I think we'll talk about your main team. I think you guys had him. Maybe somebody else that got either hurt or sent down. Did you guys make any bids this weekend?
So we did, and we had Yanni Chernos get sent down. We had Oswald Peraza get sent down, and we had Brett Beatty get sent down. And Kyle Wright get put on IL too. So we just had a bang up day. Pun intended, I guess, but not really. I just kind of slipped into it there. We held on to Beatty.
Okay, I was gonna say I was asking if you held on to Beatty or not.
Yeah, Beatty's was the hold. We were debating Peraza or Beatty, who's first drop. We decided to drop Peraza because honestly, the Yankees have 17,000 infielders still, and he's going to have to just play for a while. And he was he was a late pick. So we picked up Christian Arroyo to replace him.
And I like that one. There's some talk about him. He's going to play a bunch, at least to start, and a little bit of lead off against lefties too. And he was kind of sneaky good for in a few stats last year. I have to look up my notes on him, but I remember when I looked at second base, I had him bolded on my sheet. So I think there's definitely some stuff I liked about him.
Yeah, and we picked up Lamont Wade Jr.
Well, I'm gonna like that one.
Yeah. So the only negative is we didn't pick up a pitcher this week. And so we're kind of like, we drafted 8 starting pitchers that are active, and Chirinos was our 9th starter. We've got like 3 other reliever dart throws, and we didn't want to throw away our darts before a dart has been thrown, so like we've got like Boxberger and Graveman, all the trendy before is cool to be trendy guys that are no longer the 8 guys on their teams, but we got them 100 picks later type of thing. So we'll see about that, but and if we have to cut them, so be it.
Yeah, Arroyo raised his hard hit rate 7% last year, dropped his K rate 8% last year. I really like the trends that he had. Obviously, who knows if he keeps that up, but I thought there was enough there that, 29th, 30th round. I thought he was someone that was really intriguing just based on the improvements he had with some of his metrics last year. Yeah. I do really like him as a middle infielders. Late are tough. There's a lot for a while. Then I got to the point where I didn't have a shortstop that I wanted to pick up to be a backup shortstop, so I didn't back up my shortstop. But as in terms of a middle infielder, I do really like that as a pickup.
Yeah, I'm pleased with it. We bid a little too much. Tim had it right initially. Like he had it 11. I'm like, let's just in case. Let's go 31. That'll matter eventually. You want to narrow that margin as best as possible, but especially for a day after a draft. But there's plenty of news that happened today, so I figured, why not?
Lamont Wade had some injuries in 2022, and he was just pretty much hurt. I tossed that year away. If you look at 2021 on Lamont Wade, he was over 70th percentile on Baseball Savant in xWOBA, xSlug, xISO, and barrel rate. And he was also 80th percentile in both whiff and chase rates. Like he has really good metrics in 2021. I think he's just a good hitter. The Giants are going to hit him leadoff against righties. I don't know how much he's going to play against lefties, but he had some really good stats in 2021. Stuff you don't see guys that go on fab or the 20th, 30th round. And the Giants want him to play a lot. Sounds like he's healthy. He's a key part of their team, and I think he's a little bit overlooked there.
Yeah, I remember you talking about him in the drive up. So I was pleased to get him for a fab bid. Did you pick anybody up in your main?
I did. I had Dre Jameson on the D-backs in like the 26th round, 25th round, somewhere in there. And he lost the 5 job to Ryan Nelson. I'm going to put Jameson in the bullpen, which I don't like, because then if at least he went down, he'd stay stretched out, and maybe, someone gets hurt, he comes up right away.
Yeah.
If he's in the bullpen for like 2 or 3 weeks and they get someone hurt, he's going to have to like go back down and get stretched out. So I figured like best case, I don't want to say best case for an injury, but best case for Jameson, maybe he starts back up again in 4 or 5 weeks. So I dropped him and picked up Kevin Ginkel in their bullpen. I figured I'd throw a reliever this week, but I have Scott McGuff in there too. So I just want to make sure that if Ginkel's the first guy out of the pen, maybe I don't feel as bad. So I just kind of picked that up as a buffer for these last 4 days here.
McGuff says, leave your bullpen open. Yeah, I have McGuff too in our main. So I endorse that. But couldn't Jameson close just as easily as any of these other guys?
That's the weird thing, is there some of the quotes were like, yeah, maybe we see him in a high leverage spot at some point too. I think he'll start off as a long man, but if it looks good and kind of 2-inning spurts, he can move to the 7th, 8th inning pretty quickly.
They don't have a natural born closer. McGuff is closed in Japan. He's big in Japan. But at the same time, how many failed starters become closers like that? So I think I watch him closely. Watch the usage. Watch how he does. You might have to pick him back up at some point, because that bullpen's pretty wide open. But nonetheless, I understand why you went that route, and I get it. I'm kind of behind that too. And if I needed a drop, Jameson would have been a possibility for me.
Yeah, so I held on about, so I didn't do a lot of movement there, but it was just a little bit. We had Dylan Dodd got picked up. He was the biggest bid at $25. Now that you mentioned Kyle Wright starting the year on the IL, so both Dodd and Schuster made making the team for the Braves. Miguel Castro got picked up, so another shot in the Arizona bullpen.
Yeah,
the Arizona, it's gonna be wild. Whoever comes out in the ninth there, we could be 5 guys and nobody's gonna be shocked.
And we're gonna get a lot. There'll be a lot of leagues where those guys are still available, and we'll be like assemble and going after bidding those guys. That'll be like our first flurry.
And the other 3 guys will get dropped really quickly too. It's going to be a crazy.
And I understand also too the Jameson thing moving to the bullpen also bodes ill for him starting, because they have this guy named Brandon Pfaadt, that everybody loves. He just got sent down, and he's going to be stretched out, and he's the guy that everybody wants to get called up.
Did he get dropped in your main, or did the person who drafted him hold him?
No, he got sent down before the draft, so we everyone knew, and people still drafted accordingly. He went in like the I want to say still kind of early-ish, like enough that you were like, maybe not. Man, this font's so small, and it makes really good radio for me to be.
It started around 24 to team 12 in your league.
Okay, yeah, there you go. So yeah, so 24th round, you don't really want to drop a 24th round pick. Kind of like us with Brett Beatty. I didn't want to drop that.
Did you guys look at all at new Yankees fifth starter? There, obviously their entire rotation is pretty much hurt at this point. Johnny Brito threw, I think, 5 scoreless innings today. He's gonna be the 5th guy. Did you guys look at him at all?
I didn't look at him. I projected him yesterday morning. Scott Fleming snagged him in our league.
Oh, he got drafted.
No, he got picked up.
He got picked up.
In
fact,
I
was gonna say he was only like 3% roster.
Although Fleming did like take every single upside guy in my draft, but yeah.
Yeah, I looked at him. The strikeout rates weren't exceptional in the minors, so I admit that my look was pretty quick. Does have a pretty good swinging strike rate though, so maybe with some pitch sequence, the strikeouts could work. But I had a bid in on him, but it was after Ginkle, so I did not give him my league, but I wouldn't have got him anyway. He went for I think he went for $20 to former main event champion Glenn Schroeder, which was felt like everybody in the Hall of Fame at the NFBC was in my league. Like my table was my table was fully empty while they were doing the presentations.
That's so funny. I was sitting next to the robot. Nice. And James Tamani, who just won the main a couple of years ago, I'm also in his league. So not to mention, Fleming's a great player. Tons of good players in our league.
There is no avoiding great players when you
no, not in Vegas, man. That's always a takeaway. Is there's some that may look like okay, there's a couple dangerous guys, but there's also the unknown. There's like 3 years ago, how many people are talking about the robot? I mean, nobody knew who Phil or Toby was like 3-4 years ago, and they're both like elite players now. So there's always you do never know there. I didn't get a chance to hang out with Toby that much this weekend, by the way. I was bummed about that.
I like Toby a lot. He is a really, 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 really solid dude. I got to talk to him a couple times. He obviously filled in for you on the podcast last week, so I've seen his face a lot last week. So it was good to see him in person. He's a really solid dude.
I was surprised I was asked back. It was a good. Seriously, it was really good though. I mean, you guys were awesome on that one.
Well, that's nice of you to say. I'm glad to hear that. That's good. Let's get into some news and notes from this week. But first, a note from our sponsors, Underdog. The fantasy baseball season is underway. There's no better place to play than Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play fantasy baseball. Right now, Underdog has MLB Best Ball tournaments live, including the Dinger, which has $500,000 in cash prizes. Vlad and Jeff were actually doing some dingers on the drive back, so I can attest that they did enjoy those a lot. In Best Ball, all you do is join a contest, draft your team, and that's it. There's no waivers, no trades, and no in-season management. Draft 20 rounds of players to get the best cumulative scores in your starting lineup. That's 3 pitchers, 3 infielders, 3 outfielders, and 1 flex each week of the regular season. Getting started is simple. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com, sign up with the promo code RWMLB, and not only will Underdog double your initial deposit up to $100, but you also get 6 months of our RotoWire subscription, all for free. Again, it's Underdog Fantasy, promo code RWMLB. Draft your $100,000 Dinger team today. Jeff, the biggest news today was Anthony Volpe making the Yankees opening day roster. Oswald Peraza got sent to AAA. How do you feel about Volpe? Were you in on the elevated helium price this weekend at all?
I don't have any Volpe yet. I want it, but I haven't been courageous enough to pay the price yet. And it's the price of poker's gone up. He went at 151. Yes, on Saturday.
So today, someone took the break and was like, "I'm doing it. We're gonna wait 10 minutes. Then I'm gonna take Anthony Volpe as the first person out." I like it.
Yeah, but I bet you he went earlier somewhere else.
There was a pick in the 70s today.
Ooh, that's sad.
No, maybe the 60s. I think it was a 5th rounder at some point.
Where should he go, in your opinion?
It's funny. I mean, you could obviously see the significant. I mean, 50 stolen bases last year, and he's not one that gets those stolen bases without some pop. He had 21 home runs across the 2 levels. I just looked at Double A. He had 21 home runs, but there's a batting average thing here. I mean, he only hit 251 in Double A, hit 236 in Triple A. Granted, the BABIP was a little bit low in Double A, so he's going to hit bottom in the order to start. So I think the upside is significant. I mean, last year was a 20-50 year, which is like old school Carlos Gomez, like win your league kind of numbers right there when he broke out. I would say probably right outside of the top 100 would be a price that I'd maybe start to think about it now that he's made the team. Most times there's going to be someone that prefers it's going to take him earlier than I'm ready to. But I fully admit that he could be a pretty big difference maker at the price.
What a difference between first weekend and second weekend, though, huh?
Yeah, crazy.
Max pick at 259. That's nowhere close to happening.
Yeah.
I think that he's really interesting as far as that goes. Follow-up question.
Yes.
Jordan Walker or Anthony Volpe? Who do you got this year? You have to choose one.
I have to choose one. I'm going to take Anthony Volpe because I think even if he struggles a little bit, I think the stolen bases will be pretty significantly there. Whereas Walker, I'm a little bit worried about him striking out a lot coming through this first time through. He had some strikeout issues in spring training, some strikeout issues in high A, skipped AAA. I think there's a batting average with Jordan Walker. Obviously, insanely talented. And he's got some speed too. I'd probably take Volpe just because I think the stolen bases are more assured for me with him.
150 and 151 respectively in my main.
Oh, so same
discount on
same owner then.
Yes, so discount on Walker, and pushed up a little bit with Volpe, but not insanely so. It's just we'll get into the reasons why later, but just it has to do with the word. It has to rhyme with itching. So
yes.
It's really it was really crazy on Saturday.
Speaking of crazy, my next note here: Juan Soto scheduled to take batting practice on Sunday. Jeff, Juan Soto had a max set in my draft. I was picked 38. He went pick 36 to the aforementioned Mark Winokur, who said, "All right, I'll be the sucker who's going to take him," hoping that I didn't miss some news in the last 10 minutes. But 3.6 in my league. I mean, he went. He was kind of a early second, mid second with the injury in most leagues. Sounds like he's progressing well. Obliques are scary. Maybe he's not ready quite to be on Thursday, but it certainly sounds like he's progressing to the point where this is not going to be like a 4 to 6 kind of weak injury that we see some guys.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, I mean, you contributed to that slide by taking somebody else instead of him.
I did. 23. I was two players. I was Yordan Alvarez or Juan Soto, and I was like, whoever I take, the next guy's going to go right away. And I just I went with I like Alvarez a little more as a hitter. Soto just had the injury. I was a little better. I didn't think either one were going to be there, so I wasn't fully ready to take either one. I had other names in my head. I would have gone Austin Riley or Mike Trout instead, but they were both gone. I went Alvarez, but I certainly didn't think Soto was going to last another whatever that is, 12 picks.
Yeah, so we might as well get it out in their open. Pitching was just getting pushed up like crazy. End of the second, beginning of the third really was,
and not even pushed up from like overall ADP. It was pushed up from main event ADP of the.
Yep.
I think I had like 10 main events on my sheet when I was looking at it, and there were a significant number of pitchers that were up 15 to 30 spots, even from that previous push up.
Yeah, and it's the hitters across the board were getting pushed down. And it's not just the top pitchers are getting pushed up. It's every single tier is getting pushed up with the starting pitching.
I felt that second and third tier was especially pushed up.
Oh,
it was like
it hurt.
There's guys that were like, I kind of like this guy in the 10th, 11th round, but man, in the 6th, 7th round, it's tough.
Yeah, and you can react to that two different ways. You can join in the party, or you can say, I'm not going to do that. Well, I did I'm not going to do that guy. And which meant I had my second starter in the 9th round. I mean, it's just,
I did the same. I had my second starter in the 8th round, and then kind of just took a lot of pitchers after that. But I chose to I guess lean into it and just take hitters. But all the guys, I'm like, well, I can just wait, take a couple hitters, and then I'll just take these pitchers I like and move them up one round, and that didn't work either because they got taken way before that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But you look at these hitters, 36 seems to be a sweet spot in terms of where some of these hitters fall. Soto's max is 36. Jordan Alvarez fell to 36 somewhere.
Wow. Yeah.
Austin Riley fell to 34 in one league somewhere. Pete Alonso fell to 36 in a league somewhere. Rafael Devers fell to 37 somewhere. So you can see there's that end of second, beginning of third. You see a lot of doubling up of starters or a closer and a starter.
And I think what happens is those first 5 players all take hitters. I mean, there's a Garrett Cole or Corbin Burns snuck in there, but almost every time those first 5 players are all hitters.
Exactly right.
So 2-3 turn, they're taking at least one pitcher, and then some of them take 2 because like I got my stud hitter. Time to get 2 pitchers. It's an interesting spot where there's no pitchers early, and those 5 teams all need a pitcher when it comes back to that turn.
Exactly. There's at least one league where Corbin Burns went second. There's one league where Garrett Cole went 6th, and that's it. Oh, Shohei, I guess you could count too. He went.
There's
3.
a Corbin Burns too, huh? Wow.
Yeah, I don't understand that, but hey, but I've been wrong before. I do have some burns, but
ain't coming back to you at 2. But still, you think maybe if you wanted Burns, you might not have KDS picked number 2 either. But
maybe you didn't. Maybe they didn't. You know, some weird results in KDS too. But yeah, I draft 5 on Wednesday night, so I will be one of those that takes one of the top 5 hitters, whichever one of them comes to me.
I am jealous. I did 3 main events. I'm at 8, 10, and 14. So the KDS gods were not in my favor this year, but I had a number 1 pick last year, so it's hard for me to complain too much.
9, 14, and 5 for me.
Yeah, I like the 5. That'll be a fun spot. Wander Franco, MRI in his quad was, quote, favorable. There was a little bit of worry there. He had that MRI like kind of right during the main event. There was like a note on it before, and then we didn't know what it was for. He was out of the game, but then optimistic for opening day. So it sounds like favorable is definitely super favorable in that regard, because I thought he might. It's an injury he had last year too. I was concerned about it for that reason, but it sounds like it's pretty minor.
Yeah, it does. Favorable result sounds good. I did have some exposure to him, but when I saw that note, I'm like, no, I'll move on. You know, and obviously we hadn't had the MRI when we were drafting yesterday, so we didn't have that result, but it was just enough, given his experience last year, Wander Franco's experience, how slow he took to recover last year, and wasn't the same hitter when he came back, for that matter, too. It's just enough for me to kind of shy away.
Wander Franco, also the result of the biggest F-bomb at our table. He went a little bit late, and our friend Dan Prepus, who we played golf with, let out quite an audible F-bomb when Franco went the pick before him in the draft room.
Yeah, but that's like saying, with Dan, it's like saying the word "duh." But sorry, Dan.
It's about right.
Love you, Dan, but
Dan's great, but he was a little bit on tilt. Franco got all the way back around. And the guy, a guy in a Brewers jersey and a Brewers hat, I think his last name was Beckman. I forget his first name. Sorry about that. But took him and got quite the reaction from our friend Dan. Kenley Jansen was one that we had some news that the day before the main event on Friday, he had feeling lightheaded. I think any other player would be like, oh, that's weird. Maybe he's dehydrated. But with obviously Jansen and his heart issues, you just think about it a little bit more when he's getting any kind of feeling bad. It sounds like he's okay. Expected to pitch Monday. So maybe the AJ Minter, got moved into drafts. It may not work out, because it seems like Jansen's okay.
You mean, well, Minter is with Iglesias. So I think you were referring to
Iglesias,
Schreiber or
Schreiber is
Martin. Yeah. I mean, well, there's some cross pollination there. Martin used to be on the Braves, so there you go. I just bridged that gap.
Wasn't Jansen on the Braves too?
Yes, of course.
That's why I was thinking of it. Yeah. AJ Minter obviously got AJ Minter had the Raisel Iglesias news. You are right. Did you do anything with the Brave situation? Obviously, Iglesias is shut down here for a week or so. We don't know how long it's going to last for. Did you do anything with that situation? Did you do any Minter or Joe Jimenez or anything there?
So I did not. It kind of was like, I'm getting look. We come after the second break, and Sir Anthony Dominguez and AJ Minter are there, and I'm like, shoot, we should take one of these two. And Dominguez goes boom, Minter goes boom. Okay, done. And I didn't get Joe Jimenez. There was a quote from Snitker, but hey, we're gonna go ahead and Minter's the obvious decision. All right, he goes, obviously he's the obvious decision. There was some double obvious in there, and I was like, all right, Minter's the guy while he's out. But, the news on Iglesias has been positive since the initial thing came out. So I also didn't really prioritize that.
Yeah, I did not. I did not either. Tristan McKenzie, who obviously is a pretty popular name, one of those guys in kind of that third tier of pitchers that got heavily pushed up, left today with arm tightness. We never like to see that. But they did say it was precautionary. You still don't like to see that. But do you think that we're drafting Monday and Wednesday? Do you think he'll slip down a little bit with that news? Do you think people are going to buy the precautionary? What do you think McKenzie ends up dropping here a little bit?
I mean, he's had issues before, and he's about 3 inches wide. So, I do worry a little bit about that. I got him in AL Tout Wars a week ago. I don't like seeing that note. I like McKenzie a lot. I thought he was fantastic last year.
He's a fade for me, so I was disappointed to see it. It seems like
why is he a fade?
That's a really good question. I have to look at my notes on here. Let's see. I think it was mostly. I'm just pulling up his page here. Good radio.
You're afraid he's going to slip down like a grate on the street.
I don't. It's just last year was so built on that walk drop, and I'm not sure I fully buy. Like, he dropped from 11.7% to 5.9%. BABIP was 237. The craziest thing with McKenzie is I've never seen his BABIP the last 3 years have been 217, 229, 237, but he gives up a ton of hard contact. Like, usually you see that it's because someone like Julio Urias, who like avoids hard contact. He was over 40% hard hit rate the last 2 years, over a 9% barrel rate. I think regression, we always say regression to what, but I think it's coming for him big time this year. I don't think you can keep a BABIP that low with that amount of hard contact. I think that at some point here, he's going to have about a, even if he has a 280 BABIP, I think that the ERA is going to jump on him.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. So that was, sorry, I had to look it up. I knew I had notes on why I
see that. I don't like seeing that now though, but after I've already gotten them somewhere. But
I had notes on why I made them, and I have so many notes on everybody now that I had to go back to think about it. But yeah, I just have a feeling that it's coming for him. I think he's danced through a lot of raindrops these last couple of years.
Yeah.
And again,
that's true.
It helps that he's that thin. Seiya Suzuki took BP on Sunday. Looked pretty good. It sounds like we're on the path towards him coming around pretty well. It sounds like maybe a couple, maybe it's like 3 weeks we get Suzuki back in lineups.
Yeah, maybe. It's hard to say, but it's the Cubs have been so cagey with that injury. This is more definition than they've given us before, though. So that 3 weeks sounds good. I mean, it doesn't sound. It's not good if you have them, but sounds like an accurate assessment.
Yeah, and that's it's a tough injury, and it's just so hard to never know. Anything oblique, I just kind of assume a month and hope if you look quicker, great. If not, that's why I was a little wary on Soto. Is I know all the news was good. It sounds like it's even better today, but I was a little bit worried about pulling that trigger in the second round. As much as I think Juan Soto's just an absolute stud, it's just I get so worried like a check swing or a setback, and all of a sudden you look like someone like Harrison Bader, like it sounds like a 4 to 6 injury on him. So you just never know.
Same with Glass now, tough. Right?
Yeah,
same thing with Glass now, where they immediately thought it was significant.
Yeah, it's so I'm just always worried about those. It's a long season. I may regret not taking Soto, but we'll see what happens there. We had a lot of fifth man jobs were announced today. Ryan Nelson, we mentioned that earlier, talking about Dre Jameson, Johnny Brito. We talked about that in New York. Matt Strom, who was formerly kind of a hypey guy a few years ago in San Diego, I believe that's where he was before. He won the fifth man job in Philadelphia with all their injuries. Obviously, Ranger Suarez is hurt. Andrew Painter got hurt in the preseason. Were you? We talked about Brito. Were you in on Nelson or Strom at all? Do you like either of those guys as kind of a shot late?
I like Nelson. He won a spirited competition.
Yeah,
and he's a legit prospect in his own right too. Brito, I don't know. I just don't. He had a good outing today. Great. And we know it's crazy. Clark Schmidt's their number 2 starter to open the Yankees' number 2 starter.
What the heck happened? It's crazy. I remember looking at the Yankees are so deep at starter, and just it's crazy. Montas, Rodon, Severino. I mean, those are 3 big names. Montas obviously out for the year. Just insane how quickly their rotation got decimated.
I thought he could come back in the second half in the case of Montas, but
oh really? Well, when I hear shoulder surgery, I just kind of crossed him off and didn't even think about him. So
effectively out for our purposes, at least.
Yeah. Whenever I hear shoulder surgery, I kind of just assume we're thinking about next year. But yeah, you could be right. He could be back.
And Nestor Cortez had a slow start to the spring. That's why Schmidt's number 2, Herman's 3, I guess. Then Nasty Nestor, and then Brito is the 5th. Okay.
Strom's kind of interesting. He had some pretty big strikeout rates in the past. He was at the Royals and then the Padres, and then he's kind of a sexy name in 2019. I think 2019 draft. He had a really low ERA and 60 innings in 2018. 2019 was rough. The numbers weren't good, and then 2020 he was good again. He has good stuff. I don't know. He's not fully ramped up. He's like 70, 75 pitches, so it'll be tough for him to get kind of in the win situation. And then they get some guys back off injury, but he's remotely interesting to me. He's a little bit, I think a 29th, 30th round shot in him in these next couple of days is not a bad bet.
Yeah. I just wonder how much he's going to be stretched out for.
Yeah, I do. I think the first couple starts will definitely be low, and if he sticks, then maybe it works out. But the wins are definitely going to be an issue there.
I gotta change his projection to be a starter. I've got him as a reliever still. And he has so much time. He only threw like 6 innings in 2021. That's the thing that just throws off that projection big time. It's been forever since he started.
Yeah, it's last time he actually got a chunk of starts is back in 2019. So it has been a while. Let's talk about week 1 since we're kind of talking about some starters here. But first, a note from our sponsors at Fantrax. Fantrax is the most customizable fantasy platform in the industry, offering the greatest fantasy experience for your dynasty, keeper, redraft, and best ball leagues. Are you coming from another service? Fantrax makes that easy as well. Fantrax can import any of your current leagues and customize them as needed. I do have a dynasty basketball league on Fantrax where we customize the crap out of it, so I can attest to that. They offer the most in-depth player pool in the industry, including all minor league players. You need a customizable commissioner service for your fantasy league? Fantrax offers more customization than any other platform. Waivers, categories, scoring system, any kind of schedule stuff, fab situations, anything you want to do there. Fantrax offers custom solutions for all that more, and it's all free. Sign up for free today and be entered to win an official MLB signed jersey from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. All Fantrax users will also be entered in the MLB Game Day Experience giveaway, which includes free tickets and $1,000 for travel and accommodations for you and your league mates. Simply go to fantrax.com/RotoWire and sign up today. That's fantrax.com/RotoWire. So, Jeff, with all the draft talk and fades and targets and categories, we actually have games this week, which is
right.
Freaking awesome. I didn't really dawn on me until today. I was doing the outline here as we're talking. And I realized we have games this week. It's always weird when they start on Thursday, but we did all these drafts and stuff, and we still have some coming. But we got games on Thursday. Every plays either 3 or 4 games this period. But there's a lot of teams that won't have starting pitchers pitch. Obviously, you can only pitch 3 guys, so 60% starters in some teams, 80% others. In NFBC leagues, a good note that Thursday is its own period. So with hitters. So if you have hitters, everybody plays on Thursday. You bet your hitters in. You have a lot of hitters that only play 2 games over the weekend. A lot of teams have Friday off. So Those 3-game hitters on the weekend are pretty big. So make sure you check that. We have 10 teams with 4 games. The 4-game series are Arizona, the Dodgers, Cleveland at Seattle, Colorado, San Diego, the White Sox at Houston, the Mets at the Marlins. All the 4-game series in good situations. Those are all either in Southern California or in Dome. So we should get a lot of games out of those series.
Yeah.
Although I said, is it supposed to rain here again?
On Wednesday it is. So if that trails over into opening day, I mean, it's possible. God.
Yeah.
It's been raining here. It's back again another day.
It's raining here for like 2 months. So I should not count on that being played. But they are in good spots there. Were any hitting schedules you saw this week that you're like, I wanted to get some hitters on these 2 teams or these teams for this weekend? Any offenses you looked at, you're like, I really like this offense this weekend?
I mean, I think you got to look at maybe the Reds home start. I mean,
look at you, such a homer. We get an opening day and you have optimism about the Reds.
I know don't talk. You can get me out of that mindset. Jake Fraley, I like this week. I think that although they do have a game against Rich Hill, so that doesn't help him too much. Yeah. Benson's a guy that, late guy, but although not so late, he got taken in our draft.
He went in the 21st round in mine. I couldn't believe that one. That was early.
25th in mine. I thought that was like, oh shoot, I wasn't ready for that. But
yeah, he was a bolded guy for me. Is he officially on the team?
I don't know. I don't think so yet, but
I don't think so yet either. I haven't seen official, but it seems like it's all trending that way.
Yeah. You're going to draft every Braves hitter. Maybe, Arcia's pick up in like early drafted leagues. So, cause he's, probably was not drafted and he's now a starter. He's probably batting 9th though. That's the problem, but it's against the Nats.
They do get 2 lefties in there too, which is nice for him. I like the Padres. Another team they probably drafted a lot of guys, but they have 4 against the Rockies. They get Marquez, Freeland, Jose Urena, and Austin Gomber. Gotta like that for getting some hits out of the shoot here. That's a pretty nice setup for those facing those 4 guys.
Yeah. The name I was kind of annoyed that I didn't think of sooner in the draft. We didn't get him, but I do like him as Luis Campusano. Nola keeps getting banged up for the Padres behind the plate. So Campusano against that Rockies, rotation. Granted, it's in Petco. It's not a Coors Field game or anything, but kind of like that if he gets a few extra at bats.
You can get Gomber anywhere, Jeff. Austin give up runs in any park, in any state, in any country, anywhere.
Oh yeah, you get Gombered when you least expect it.
Yeah. When you have a term named after you, that means you can give up runs anywhere. I really like Red Sox bats this week. I think the Red Sox lineups can be fascinating. I've never seen a manager mention 4 different guys for hitting leadoff. Like it was like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing all kinds of stuff. He mentioned Casas and Arroyo and Kiki Hernandez and Alex Verdugo, like 2 guys for righties, 2 guys for lefties. They're going to be kind of all over the place for a little bit. I think we know that Devers, Justin Turner, and Yoshida are going to hit 2, 3, 4, but I think the rest of that lineup's going to be pretty fluid. But they get Kyle Gibson, Dean Kramer, and I wrote the wrong name on here. I forget who the third starter is for that. The
Bradish?
Orioles. Might be Bradish, yeah.
Yeah.
I looked and I wrote the Red Sox starter instead of the Orioles starter there, but they get a really nice schedule. We talk about how the Orioles are going to be better. They're an interesting team. That's mostly offense. Their pitching is still kind of.
Well, the thing is, because it's Baltimore, it's when they're at home, that's okay though. Like Gibson and Irvin are,
Oh, it's Irvin on Sunday. Good call.
Yeah, he's had his moments. He's average. An average in Baltimore can be okay, especially against a Boston team that's just okay. Line up there too. I mean, let's face it. I mean, there are some things that have, we talk, like I drafted Justin Turner and I like his spot in the lineup, but he's kind of getting up there and he's a little bit behind. He's had 2 weeks off at spring. He's their 3 or 4 hitter. I mean, that doesn't really blow the doors off there.
On the flip side of that, though, there are hitters that you can kind of stream or maybe get available or get late in the draft to play for this weekend. Right. So
I just picked up Arroyo as one of those guys. So there you go.
We're talking about Braves and Padres. You can't really pick up any of those guys. But the Red Sox, there are the Angels. Interesting. I'm going to be picking on this a lot, but picking on the A's. Kyle Muller's their opening day starter. 2 weeks ago we didn't even know he's going to make the rotation. All of a sudden he's the opening day starter.
I had like 6 starts for him projected. I had to furtively when I saw that note that he was going to be the opening day starter. I was like, oh crap. Got to bump up that projection a little bit.
There's a lot of Angels hype for their offense coming in with all the guys they've added, and it's a good week for that. We got Mr. Saturday, Fujiyami is pitching every Saturday for the A's, so he pitches on Saturday. Then Ken Waldichuk on Sunday got smoked today. Had some good starts at the end of last year, but coming out of the gate, that's a pretty good schedule for the Angels right there.
It is. Now, when you see like you're doing a draft and your pick's about to come up, and this is the end game. You see like latest note gave up 9 runs in his most recent spring training outing. Does that? Does that influence you? Like I think it did with me. I think Kyle Bradish, who I have plenty of exposure to, I held off a little bit for at least like a round because he got smoked in his most recent outing.
For me, most of Bradish was the second half. I thought was a little bit fluky. I know the numbers got way better, but you look at his other like underlying numbers; they were all just kind of the same, and some of them got a little bit worse. So I was not as fully in on Bradish, but yeah, I mean, I think that if a guy has a horrible outing, and if it's Justin Verlander, I don't care. I assume he's just working on something. But if it's a younger guy that is kind of trying to ramp up for the season and really struggles, that probably interesting. And it's an end game one where you want to throw these guys for the first couple of weeks. I think that affects me a little bit too.
Okay.
Let's get into our main event drafts. I know that there's a lot of stuff there to talk about. We've kind of touched on a few of those. Let's hit a note from our sponsor at Vivid Seats first, and then we'll jump into that. Baseball's back. Swing into the MLB season with Vivid Seats and score tickets to all of your hottest matchups and biggest games of the year. Every crack of the bat, every deep fly ball, and every heart-pounding double play of your favorite team live and in person. Plus, with Vivid Seats rewards, now you earn rewards with every single purchase. Each ticket you buy gets you closer to the reward. Just buy 10 tickets, simply cash in your credit towards the 11th ticket purchase. It's that easy. Pro reward tip, buy tickets for your whole group. Split the bill and make progress towards your free 11th ticket faster. From behind the plate to the upper deck, Vivid Seats has great tickets for all 2023 games that matter to you. Just visit vividseats.com or download the app today at Vivid Seats. Experience it live. See vividseats.com/rewards for terms and conditions. So, Jeff, it was pretty crazy. You walked over to me at the first break. In the live events, there's a break after the 10th round, the 20th round, and you tapped me on the shoulder. You're like, oh, by the way, we have 4 of the 5 picks are the same that we made, which is almost impossible. You and I did not plan this. I was picking 8, you're picking 9, so we're picking from the same pool of players.
Can't see each other as we're drafting.
And we didn't know. We couldn't see each other. Right. We couldn't see each other. We obviously talk about players. We had the podcast together, but I don't think that we knew, fully each other's targets, all that kind of stuff. But we ended up with 4 of the first 5. But let's talk about your draft first. You started with the 9 spot. The first 8 guys are hitters. I'm calling Shohei Ohtani a hitter for that purpose, but obviously he went right before you at 8. Vlad Guerrero jumped in front of you. That was pick 7 there. Garrett Cole was your first pick. Were you guys always going pitching? If Vlad or Ohtani had been there, were you going there? Did you consider Bo Bichette? Was it Cole over Burns for sure? What was your thought on the first pick there?
It was always Cole over Burns.
Okay.
But the big debate is, do we Cole or not Cole? And you mentioned the possibility, so you did influence me a little bit. But so from that standpoint, we didn't coordinate it, but it was like, okay, he's considering it too. All along, I was like, oh no, I'm not taking a pitcher in the first round. But you hear about all the main event starting pitching inflation. And you're like, okay, If you get Cole, you don't have to participate in the inflation as much.
Right.
That was a selling point. Nonetheless, Tim really wanted Vlad. I was like, okay, we can get behind Vlad. I can get behind that too. But then Vlad went. I'm like, okay, so much for that. We're like, if Tucker or Otani or Vlad slips to us, we'll go ahead and take them. We thought about Bichette. That was a tricky one. I'm not there yet with Bichette. I understand the logic, I guess, but for one thing, if you're really counting on the speed to be there, it's got to be that, he the second half was more, those last 2 months were more legit. But even then, his sprint speed was actually down. It was more average for his position. Not quite average, it was slightly above average, but it wasn't like elite sprint speed, elite first home to first speed, especially for his position. So it's kind of like you're really counting on like him stealing 30 bases to be worth that spot, I feel like. And I know, and I don't think he's necessarily that guy. So I decided, let's go ahead and get the ace that we wanted. And we got it. We went Cole instead.
Yeah, I thought about it a lot too. And as I kind of built the first 4 rounds, it just, everything I did worked better with Cole. I was Cole or Bichette too. I really like Bo Bichette. I think I love the batting average. He had plenty of pop, hard hit rate. I think that the note I had in my notes was he's got to steal 20 to 25 to make it work. So I kind of have the same process you did. He had 25 in 2021, then 13 last year. He works the price if he steals 25. He works really well. But if he steals 12, I think it's it's tough to get behind.
He got caught a lot too last year.
Yeah. So you wonder if he keeps going. He's he hits third usually in that lineup, so maybe it's a little bit tougher to run. But as I built, the key to part of it was the second round. It's not a lot of speed guys in there for us. We're looking at, you and I were looking at Devers or Trout or Austin Riley or Pete Alonso or anybody like that. None of those guys are guys that run. So if you're going to do it with Bichette, you need him to run because your second guy's not going to. So as I built it, I didn't really. You kind of knew the pitchers of the 2-3 turn were going to be gone by the time we picked, and I just felt if I didn't take Cole, I was going to be in trouble getting someone I really really loved as my ace.
For sure, and. Yeah, thing is, like, then you're kind of committed to like 2, 3, 4, maybe, or 2 and 4, or 3 and 4, and then you have to decide, okay, how am I going to get my closers as far as all of that goes too? Because you have to get closers eventually too. As a counterexample, the person next to me went Strider he got Strider in the second, which is kind of a gift.
Just for people to know, like Strider was going in the 1-2 turn in almost every draft.
Yeah, he and Team 10 instead got him at 2-6, followed by Bieber, followed by Luis Castillo, which is a really good 4th round pick. That was one of the few like aces that didn't really get pushed up to ridiculous levels, but are high levels. I shouldn't say ridiculous levels. Those 2nd round pitchers, I mean, for the most part, they're worth it. Yeah. I mean, you can debate a couple of them perhaps, but you look around and it's just like, well, they're all getting snatched up. So you kind of have to figure out your pitching. So when you go Cole, then you get to kind of take advantage of the hitters that fall. And I feel like I did that. And I think you did that too.
Yep. You got Austin Riley in the 2nd round, which I am supremely jealous of. That was that's who I wanted there. I've not really hidden that fact. So you got Riley in the 2nd round. And then we come back around the 3rd round. Josh Hader's available. Did you guys consider grabbing the closer there? I think you and I both talked like if Hader's there, we have to consider it. Once you took Cole, were you pretty much guaranteed to take a hitter there? Because for me, I would have gone Hader if I had started hitter, but I went since I went Cole, I went with Michael Harris to the 2nd, as you did also.
Right.
With Riley, I had Yordan Alvarez. We both had 0 stolen bases. I had to get stolen bases that pick.
That was the inspiration for sure. Is that the need for stolen bases? And especially because Corbin Carroll got pushed up to 38.
Oh, he went 38 in yours. Wow.
Yeah, but guess what? That's not the min.
No.
Someone went, I guess is either today or yesterday, went 33 on Corbin Carroll. So, but point is, I was fixated on finding somebody that could run some. Needed some speed. I was in the same boat as you. Yeah, Hader was there, and I might regret not going Hader, but then we got a closer in the 4th anyhow.
So we both took Jordan Romano in the 4th round. You took him after Ryan Helsley. Helsley was an early pick there. After Devin Williams, too. You took him ahead of Bautista and Presley. I know you like Presley. Was it Romano and Presley for you? And just
it was.
I mean, I think they're both really good. Did you have a strong preference there, or just kind of a little bit of preference on
It
Romano?
was either or. And I actually thought there was a reasonable chance that I wouldn't even get to choose among those two. And it had both them gone, I don't think I would have pulled the trigger on Bautista. Nothing against Bautista. I because I actually do have him in AL Tout Wars. I actually kind of relented a little bit on my stance about him, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, no, I either would have gone. Oh no, if I hadn't gotten one of those two closers, I think I would have pushed for Zach Wheeler, who still is available, and I love Zach Wheeler too.
Yeah.
Kind of that was a critical decision because then the starting pitching pool just gets eviscerated after that.
Yeah, it does. I just I did the same thing, and I wanted to get a closer. I wanted to get one of those top guys. I felt if I didn't get to it there, it was just going to get out. It was going to cycle on me. I didn't know where I was going to get one.
Yeah.
I was going to have to take Alexis Diaz or Clay Holmes maybe around early because usually you want to make sure you get one. I love Romano. I think it works really well, and I like not having to think about closer again after that really for a while. Came back around the 5th round. I was pretty much sure I was going to take an outfielder. I was going to take Teoscar, Eloy Jimenez, or George Springer. I love that group of outfielders. We both ended up with Teoscar. What was your thinking on family member, friend of the podcast, Teoscar Hernandez?
He runs more than both Eloy and Springer, so that's why I went that route. Adolis Garcia was available there too, but I like Teoscar straight up better than Adolis.
I do too. I obviously love Teoscar, and I would have gone him there. I did go with him there, so I obviously agree with you there. Coming back, we'll flip through here pretty quick. You took a shortstop in the 6th round. Your friend Dansby Swanson, so I know you always are high on. I like him a lot this year too. I took a shortstop in that pick too, which is we were really in lockstep.
Yeah, we were.
And then you took two outfielders. I know you love Swanson. We don't want to talk about that one too much, but you took Byron Buxton in the 7th, which I do want to talk to you about, and then Taylor Ward in the 8th, who's been a very popular guy. You got him late. I would have taken him in my spot. I would have taken my spot in the 7th round. He was gone before my 7th pick. So, talk to me about Buxton and Taylor Ward here. So I'm interested in your thoughts on how Buxton ended up on your squad.
Well, I'm not a Buxton guy for the most part, but I like that they're putting him at DH. I really do. I mean, I know he's got a lot of defensive value, but I like that they're going to try to doing their best to preserve him, play him at DH a little bit more. I understand I'm probably not getting more than 9 or 10 stolen bases. I don't think he could give me 2. There's a possibility of that. There is a possibility he could get 20, but I don't.
He's certainly fast enough to do it.
Right. But I'm not counting on it. But I just think he could also hit 35 homers from there too.
So that essentially his pick. What is that, like 99 or something?
99.
Like that? What is his 80? I don't know if you have it in front of you. What is his ADP in the main event?
The main event, Buxton is sitting at. I just saw it. He is sitting at 90.88 or 89th in order. Right. Average pick is 90.88. So that's basically par.
But still like 10 picks after. So I mean, it's a good price there. He's a weird guy. I think I mentioned to you before. He can hit 50 home runs. He can play 50
You're
games.
A weird guy.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that too. But who knows? But one of these seasons probably gonna stay healthy. It's a high upside pick. It's obviously a risky pick. He gets hurt a lot, but I mean, 45 home runs is not out of the mix here if he plays 135, 140 games.
It is entirely plausiard.
Hard contact is crazy on Buxton.
It is. And Tim really wanted him, so I went with it there. Ward, it cost us. There were a ton of starting pitchers after our 8th round pick in Taylor Ward. And that did cost us because we're sitting at 1 starting pitcher in that. But
that is a lot of yellow between your Ward pick and your next pick.
Right. I did get the max pick on Taylor Ward at 112 though. But a lot of targets went by after that. There's a consequence there. Lodolo, Rasmussen, Springs. Come on, guys. Springs was 170 in a month and a half ago. Now he's 100. Yep. I mean, he's 115, 116. Nasty Nestor Cortez goes there. Jesus Luzardo and Dustin May on that 7-8 on the 8-9 turn.
Wow, that number 1 team really did go high upside. He went Luzardo, May, Walker, Volpe, and then Clark Schmidt, and then Kelnick. Oh my gosh, wow!
And O'Neill Cruz before that, and Pasquantino before that. Yep. I mean, all first, second, and third year players. I mean, he could kill us. I mean, if these guys cook, it's entirely possible there. It's team fun. I mean, he really steered into it there. But then, May goes, then Freddie Peralta goes, then Charlie Morton goes, then Giolito goes. Giolito was hurtful. I thought I was going to get Giolito. I did not get Giolito. That's fine.
Carlos Rodon won the pick before you. I assumed since you only had one pitcher, you probably wouldn't have gone there.
I was not going to go there. Okay. No.
It's I get it as your third or fourth star. I don't as your second star. That'd be pretty tough because you're just like you're really starting to hold starting pitching, even with Garrett Cole at that point.
Yeah. So what did you do in that range?
So I took a shortstop in the 6th also, but I took Tim Anderson on mine. And then in the 7th, I was in a spot where same kind of thing. Like all the pitchers were going. I just kind of leaned in. I took a young guy that I do really like. I took Gunnar Henderson for a speed power combo kind of guy in third base. After the top, whatever it is, 6 or 7, I'm going to get third base gets really rough really quick. I do like Matt Chapman a little bit later, but with the team I was at, I was really kind of building speed power guys and more, balanced guys rather than, huge power, huge speed guys. So he fit well there. And the 8th round, obviously I didn't have a second pitcher yet. Probably my hardest decision of the entire draft. It was Logan Webb or Drew Rasmussen, and I love Rasmussen. I thought he had a better chance to get back to me, but I just as my second pitcher, I wanted someone that was more guaranteed to throw a lot of innings. So I was a little worried there that Rasmussen may throw 140 and Webb throws 180. I took the guy with a little better floor and a little more innings, and the guy next to me took Drew Rasmussen like 2 seconds later. I was like, it's between the same two pitchers. So that's the one I feel like I may end up regretting because I think that it's kind of a 50-50. Like if I did it again, I might take Rasmussen the next time. I just don't know. But right. If that was my third pitcher, I probably would have done Rasmussen. My second pitcher, I felt like I needed the luck in innings more, and I may live to regret that one.
Yeah. I'm not a huge Webb guy, but I also think that, I think that's perfectly fine. And again, you agonized over a decision that it didn't matter really. I mean, you were going to get one or the other. You were never getting both. So
no. And then I was going to take back-to-back pitchers, and then it came back around. I was going to take Freddie Peralta. And he went the pick before me. So it was one of those ones that the name, you usually like sitting there, don't say the one name I'm thinking of. So I did. And I got to that point. And the next, I had like 6 pitchers that were like kind of all the same to me. So I took it. I took it out for everybody. Like I took Christian Yelich in the 9th, which was, I think it's pretty late for him. I think that, I think if he's okay there, it works well. But if he obviously could pop and, he could get back to the fly balls. He still hits the ball hard. He ran last year. I just think there's a lot of upside that pick. So with 6 or 7 pitchers, I kind of thought were all the same. I knew I could wait another round and take another pitcher, and it would be one of that group. So I went Yelich, and then came back around the 10th. I took Jordan Montgomery. He was kind of in that group of guys I liked but didn't love, and kind of all had in the same range. But I mean, they were big. I like Kyle Wright. He went 2 rounds early in ADP. I like Alex Cobb. He went the 10th round in my league. So that was like I was taking the 12th, 13th round. Names just getting picked off. So I took Montgomery, another guy that I think will throw a lot of innings, be solid, not a ton of upside, but I think they pair pretty well with Cole.
Yeah, I agree with all that.
But it was tough. Every time I took a non-pitcher, I felt like it hurt because I was like, I love this price. I've got to take this guy, but I knew that another 10 pitchers were going to go off the board before I did it.
Yeah, and that's the series of choices that we make, and it's the NFBC is brutal as far as that goes. Especially a live draft, I feel like it's. I think it's easier to pivot when we're doing online drafts. The emotions kind of kick in a little bit more in person.
For sure, and you get caught up in it. It was funny. There was a get together for all the people that were drafting on Friday night. It's just amazing how much all these people know. Like there's nobody there that is kind of rolling in like, hey, this sounds fun. I'm going to show up at the draft of my magazine and call it a day and have some fun. I mean,
it has happened before.
The rogue draft.
One year I sat next to some. Oh, go ahead, sir.
I was going to say the rogue drafter does exist, but you had someone that was out of a magazine too.
I literally out of a magazine, drafting injured guys. It was
it the RotoWire magazine at least?
It was not it better not have been a RotoWire magazine in that case.
That is funny. So you took Luis Garcia the 9th. Jumping back to yours, let's kind of do the next chunk of rounds here. I'm going to be honest with you. The 10th through 15th rounds, I kind of felt myself lost a little bit. I love a lot of late targets. I love a lot of early targets. I love a guy in the 6th to 8th round. I found myself struggling to find guys. There was a lot of my original strategy was there's a lot of pitchers I liked in 10, 11, 12, and those pitchers were all gone. So I kind of had to maneuver a little bit there. You took Chris Bassett after Garcia, and then Kyle Wright. I love you getting Kyle Wright in the 11th round. I know he started the year on the IL, but I think it's just he's just ramping up a little bit. He's a couple starts behind. Then you took a couple of corners, Joey Meneses and Jake Cronenworth. Been back to pitcher with Jose Urquidy. Any of those guys that you really were really targets for you? You really love the pick.
Meneses.
Any of those you don't like the pick? Okay.
Love Meneses. His price of him has gone up a little bit, but I still love him. Cronenworth is our second baseman, by the way. It's handy that he qualifies at first.
Yeah.
But
sorry, he's in purple on my screen, but obviously you're saying.
Well, yeah. Urquidy actually is a target. I mean, I like him. I get him. He's very basic, but I love that. Basic and boring pitchers. You're going to take the ball every fifth day for a good team. Let's roll. McCullers isn't coming back soon. Hunter Brown's got a bad back. We'll see what happens with that. Urquidy is a little at risk of losing the job, but I don't think it's that big of a risk.
I don't think that's big of a risk. I think
it's a bigger risk that they go 6-man and then he loses the job. But
I would agree with that. In the 15th round, you took Garrett Mitchell, someone who I know you like. Talk to me about Garrett Mitchell as I get into my next drafts here. What sold you on Mitchell kind of in the mid round?
Speed. I need speed. I felt like we were light there for a little bit there. Riley doesn't run. I have guys that all could contribute some stolen bases besides Michael Harris, who could be a very plus guy, but I didn't have like big burners. So I thought I needed one more stolen bases guy. So and I thought he was the best one at that point. I think he's got a power upside as well. I don't know if he achieves it in the regular season, but he teased it a little bit in spring too.
I think he does. He was a 41. It was a small sample last year, but he was 11.5% barrel rate in the majors last year. My issue with Mitchell is the strikeouts. I think they're going to be huge. They were big in the minors. He was a 28% strikeout in Double-A. I know he's 41% in the majors, but that's 60s at bats. I don't really care about that. I think he's going to strike out about 30% of the time, though. So I think the batting average will be an issue. If he can get on base, he had 24 steals in like 75 games or something last year. It was a big number.
Yeah, it was.
Looking through yours a little more here. You took a catcher. You took Christian Vasquez in the 16th round. Obviously, you didn't have a catcher yet, so that makes a lot of sense. Talking about your next three starters here. You took Taijuan Walker in the 17th, Kenta Maeda in the 19th, Nick Martinez in the 20th. What was any favorites in that group?
I like all three kind of solid for what we think. I mean, Maeda, who knows what you're going to get out of him. I mean, there's some serious risk about, but I like that. It wasn't like he had the Tommy John in season last year. Right. So I think that bodes a little bit in our favor in terms of him getting back to it. I think he'll struggle in the first month or so. So I have to watch out for that. I'll have to watch him a little closer, but Walker, good team, solid pitcher. You know what you're getting with him. Yeah. Martinez is an upside pick, but also notice good team again. I'm trying to focus on getting good pitchers on good teams. With the fringier spots, it's like, you can take a little bit higher of a risk on a guy though on a team maybe that's not expected to be great, but for the most part, I'd rather have starting pitchers on good teams.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Looking at kind of after the break here, you took Nick Gordon. I did also. I think I took him right before the break. I really like that one. I think that Nick Gordon is a sneaky speed power guy that the Twins are a mess right now in terms of injuries. Polanco's on the IL. Kirilloff's starting the year on the IL. I think there's going to be a lot of playing. Buxton's going to DH, so there's going to be a lot of movement. I think Nick Gordon's going to be that piece that every day you're going to find a different spot to play him in. I don't think that 15-15's out of question for him this year. And if you get hit, they get that in the 21st round. Like that's a huge pick. He was a bright, bold name for me on my sheet. Second base outfield is really nice at this point too.
For sure.
Cover a couple spots there. If you need a middle, great. If you need a fifth outfielder, great. If you need utility, great. Whatever it may be. I really like that pick. I was happy to see that we both ended up on Gordon.
Yeah, and and he's going to get a lot of time early because remember Polanco's not going to begin the year on the active list, so that helps too.
It certainly does. He's going to play a bunch. You did not have a second closer yet, so you went with Scott McGuff, Brad Boxberger, Kendall Graveman down the stretch here in the 20s. We talked about Arizona a little bit earlier. I don't think we have any clue what's going to happen there. McGuff did have 30-plus saves in Japan in the last 2 years, so at least he has if you want to call that closing experience, it's there.
And he was great early in spring, too. He had one bad outing, I think, recently. But, it's a little early for a spec is the only thing I'm a little worried about, but you know what? Anything after pick 300 though is all like
I
find guys you like.
I rip up the ADP sheet after about round 17. I just get if I'm going to grab guys because I did 17th round versus the 21st round or 20th round. Just at that point, just get the guys you want. It's funny that as you look at ADP, you're like, oh, I can get this guy in the 27th round. By the way, in the main event, you can't. They're going to go in. Somebody else they're going to go in the 22nd. They're always like 4 or 5 rounds early in those stretches. So. Obviously, we talked about some of the guys you dropped with Brett Beatty. You mentioned he went back down in the minors. Escobar's going to play third base. Is this a hold till he comes up for you? Is this a hold until I need the roster spot? What's your thinking on that pick at the moment?
Hold as long as I can. And obviously, if he's struggling at AAA, then it'll be an easier cut. But if he's ripping it up in AAA, more likely to hold and hold more. Obviously, Escobar's how he plays is going to matter as well. If he struggles from the Mets, then Beatty's got a better chance of getting that earlier call too, especially because the Mets, they're in it to win it. So they might, and they've even said Escobar basically has a short leash.
And he raked in AA last year. He hit 19 home runs, hit 312, like hit for average and power. Not a lot of speed there, but I think it's one that I agree with you. I think I would try and you don't want to hold too long, and it's a tough little game there. But I think that you can hold and kind of see once you need the spot. Yeah. Other than that, overall, how did you feel? Were you happy with it? Were you kind of like, we got some work to do? How did you kind of feel about the team overall?
I mean, happy and have some work to do. Is always, and just kind of like spent too. I mean, it's always an intense draft. We flew, by the way. We were the first of the break, first of the second break, first to get done. I think we were like a solid 2.5 rounds ahead of you. So when I moseyed over, you were in the 8th round. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, so I all in all, I'm pretty happy. I'm comforted by the fact that we have so many players in common, because it's not like we said, well, okay, we're going to do this here. And we do talk about certain players on the podcast, obviously, that we like in the drive up. But
even driving up, we didn't like plot out a first 5 round strategy we need this and steals. Like we were kind of talking about other stuff. We had, Vlad in the car. We were trying to talk about life and some baseball and all kinds of stuff. And it's just funny that it worked out exactly that way.
And you've got another draft where you're 14th also, right?
I was 8th this one, then I'm 14th on Monday and 10th on Wednesday.
So we're both 14th on Monday. So we'll be very interesting to compare.
So if we have 4 of the same 5, everybody's gonna know we're full of it.
They're plotting together.
Yeah,
collusion.
Yeah. So looking at quick at my draft before we get out of here, I want your thoughts on a couple of my players. Jonathan India, I took in the 11th round as my second baseman. I've made it known. I've talked to you a bunch. I don't like many second basemen. I looked into India though. I did like him a little more than I thought. I read some stuff that last year is pretty much a lost year for him. He realized that that he bulked up for 2022, and he said it just didn't work very well. He didn't like how it felt. Yeah. He kind of felt tight, and that was part of the reason for the injuries. Back to his regular weight. He's 21-12 with a 270 average in 2021. You're the Reds fan here. How do you feel about India coming into the season?
I'm warming up to him. Earlier, I was saying cautionary stuff, in part because the StatCast was just pretty bad, actually.
He was awful. You have to, in order to do it, you kind of have to throw out last year, because it's a little bit of leap of faith, but you have to kind of toss last year.
It's kind of early, but the position has lended itself to that. We've had a couple of guys go down. Rogers is out for the year. Obviously, Altuve is out for a very long time. Man, I'm not interested at all in Altuve, by the way. He'd have to go after pick 300, and even then, I'm like, so that's me. It's like India has to necessarily go up. Other second base, Grissom's gone too. That's another one that's not available to us. So when you keep that in mind, well, okay, who do I like? You like India? Push him up. If you like Brandon Lau, push him up. Do you want a little speed? Do you want a little power?
Yeah, I was between India and Lau, and I took India. I realized giving up some home runs there, but adding some speed, hopefully adding some batting average over Lau. So I was close on those two guys, and I went India instead.
Yeah, and it did catch my eye that sometimes optimizing for power doesn't really help. India and Votto both, Joey Votto both said that their whole attempt to focus on power backfired. Yeah. So
Yeah, I was reading this quote from India got me a little more interested. It seems like he's kind of reverting back to at least his mindset from 2021. To no one's surprise, I took Sonny Gray in the 12th round. I needed another pitcher. I love Sonny Gray, always do. I saw he looked really good in spring yesterday.
He's always
Stuff
there
looked good.
for you.
Always there for me. I think he's one of those guys that's gonna get hurt. We'll miss some time, but when he pitches, we'll pitch well. I mentioned I got a little bit lost in the middle rounds. I think 13 and 14 were my really lost rounds. I just was having trouble figuring out guys I really wanted here. I was gonna push up some guys I like later. I ended up with Cal Raleigh in the 13th round. I think it was the only time I took the whole clock on my time. I just literally could not come. I was going to take Ryan McMahon, I think, and he went. I was going to take Hunter Brown. He went 3 picks before. And then I was going to take Gabriel Moreno. He went 4 picks before. I was going to take Ryan McMahon. He went 3 picks. Like my whole entire sheet got crossed up. Andrew Vaughn was on my list too, and he was like the 4 picks in a row. I had 4 guys. They all went right before me. I wouldn't say a full panic mode, but I was like, I'm gonna have to find somebody here. I didn't think I was gonna take Cal Raleigh and ended up with him. Are you a fan of Big Dumper, or is that gonna be a big batting average problem? I think it might be a batting average problem.
It might be a batting average problem, but who cares if you get 25 homers out of it?
Yeah, I mean, led catches and home runs last year, so that's the power is real. I just I do worry this batting average could be really rough, but
it could be. I mean, you could have the new Chris Hoyles or something like that, and then you can hope.
Good reference right there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was in a spot where I didn't know what to grab. All the pitchers were kind of the same. I didn't love anybody, so I just figured if I'm stuck in a spot like that, my guys just went. I was really hurt when Gabriel Moreno went. He went 4 picks before me. I wanted to take him in the 12th, but I had to take a pitcher, so I took Sonny Gray. I just felt like I had to get that 4th pitcher. I was going to really struggle if I didn't, and I was holding my breath on Moreno. That's probably the pick that, as someone said out loud, hurt me the most because I was really hoping he got back to me.
Yeah, so I hear you on that. Funny thing is, I had a couple bites of the apple and didn't take it on Moreno, and I like Moreno a lot. He went at 15-4 in our league, so
that's pretty late. Yeah,
that's like around the pre-Kelly injury ADP.
Yeah,
and I just didn't pull the trigger, but that's a function of us trying to chase the starting pitching that we let go earlier, right?
I missed a lot. Xander Bogaerts went super late in our league, and I know he had the wrist injury. Like, I got to a point where
I'm okay with that, by the way.
I sucked it up and kind of leaned away from the pitching run early, and I got hitters I really, really like them. I think my offense can be good, but at some point you've got to kind of turn the other way, and you have to give up some of these hitting values are there because you have to get some pitching, otherwise you're dead.
Right. So it's a question of where you find value, and that's okay. I mean, if you feel like you're good at spotting some late pitchers, then spot them.
14th round's a pretty big round for me. I took Edward Cabrera, who I think is the most upside in the spot, but he's not even guaranteed to win the job. I'm a little worried that this could be a 4-trade back. With waiting on starting pitchers, I wanted to get guys who had a lot of strikeout upside because I didn't want to fall. I didn't want to find myself struggling with strikeouts. I took Logan Webb, my second one, so that really kind of puts me in a hole strikeout wise. I like him, but the strikeout hole is there. I took Cabrera. I'm holding my breath that he wins the 5th job because it's still not reported.
Yeah, I think he's the guy that's getting more positive buzz, right?
He is. And I like Braxton Garrett, who's the other guy too. But at the 14th round, if he doesn't win the job, I can't drop him either.
I don't understand why Johnny Cueto is guaranteed that job.
That's an excellent point. I agree there, but it sure seems like he is, isn't it? It's weirdly does. Like everything I read is like it's Cabrera and Garrett for the 5th spot.
What happens to the person that loses the job, by the way? Is that maybe the reason why Cueto is guaranteed it? Because Cabrera, for instance, has got options?
Conceivably. I haven't heard if they would send him to the bullpen or send him all the way back down, but
just make up an injury for Cueto and put him on the IL, and that solves that.
He's old. You probably don't have to make one up. You can probably find something.
There is a note that he was dealing with arm issues earlier this spring, so it's not that far-fetched.
And then you click on roster resource. They have Cabrera as the SP2. So, I have no idea. I love the arm. I think there's a ton of upside here. The walks are a big issue. I mean, if he doesn't drop the walks, it's going to be a really rough whip. Last year, he had a really good BABIP that kind of saved his whip. His 11.3 walk rate, but 26% strikeout rate. He's got to drop the walks by 8% to really work. But if he does, he's pretty darn good right away.
Well, you've got a pretty good track record on relying on Marlins to get their control. So in command. So
that just hurts.
Oh, you won your league, so I don't really feel too bad about joking about that.
Yeah, no. Trevor Rogers went 2 picks before, and the guy that took him was Thompson there, we met him the night before. Really good dude. Michael Thompson. Sorry, I forgot his
Yeah,
first name.
I'm drafting with
Thompson.
Michael on Wednesday night, it seems. So
he took Rodgers. I got 2 shout outs for people making picks during the draft. One was him taking Trevor Rodgers. The other was Mark Winokur taking Ronaldo Lopez, 2 picks before me in the 19th round. As
just taunting you. Yeah.
Just taunting me. So it's fun. All in good fun. If it wasn't for the fun banter back and forth, the live drafts would not be nearly as good. But I took Joey Meneses also. We're going to fire through here really quick. I got more pitchers. I got Carlos Carrasco and Roansy Contreras. So weird. 2 guys I really like. I found myself having no problem guys I like in this round. I need to work on that 11.
I like Carrasco. I like that pick a lot.
Yeah. That was a hold your breath pick. That was hope he gets here. Nick Pivetta went before him, which it was kind of a shocker. He went way before ADP.
Do not like him a lot. Yeah.
Do not like him a lot either. I took Sir Anthony Dominguez. You mentioned you guys just missed him. Right after Reynaldo Lopez went, I was going to take Lopez, but I had Lopez and Dominguez really close. I know I love Lopez. I talked about it a lot, but Dominguez lasted really long in our league. I'm not sure which I was going to take first. So I know Mark took Lopez, made the decision easy for me. I might take Dominguez over Lopez anyway, despite my Lopez love all offseason.
Yeah. I like Lopez a little bit better because I just think he's got a better chance of the role, even though not right away, not exclusively, but I think he's just so good that I think he wins it. But yeah, we'll see. Whereas Dominguez, I'm not sure.
Pretty darn good though, too. But yeah, I think the role is they signed Kimbrel for like $10 million though, right?
They signed Kimbrel and they traded for Soto.
They have Jose Alvarado, who's nasty too.
Yes. That's I'm glad you pointed that out. Funny thing is, Giovanni Soto is not getting drafted in a lot of mains. In fact, none of them.
Oh, 0. Wow.
I don't think he's. Oh, because it's not Giovanni. That would be the catcher from the Cubs and White Sox.
Gregory Soto. Yeah.
Okay, but my point remains: 3 mains out of 32.
Wow.
3. No one thinks he's the closer.
He had 30 saves. 30 saves last year.
No one thinks he's the closer. I think that's
no one thinks he's the closer. Yeah. And then one more pick I want to ask you about before we get here. I got to the point in round 21. I took a guy that I don't usually take, but he lasted a long time. And you talk about a pick that in round 21 could really work out. I took Austin Meadows in round 21. I got to the point where I was like,
sure.
This guy was really, I know his happy fun ball year, but he was really good a few years ago. He had 100 RBIs just in 2021. I know last year was 0 home runs. It was the weirdest year ever. He never struck out, but hit nothing hard. There's talks that he had a lot of mental health stuff going on last year. And it seems like he's kind of worked through that, which you love to see, and obviously super important there. It cost me AJ Puck, who I was hoping was going to get back around to me. He went to our friend Dan Prepus again. There was an AJ run. There was an AJ Puck and Minter both.
Did you F-bomb him for that pick?
Did I what? I did not F-bomb him, but I gave him a bad look, and I did as dirty, as nasty I can be with that. So I usually don't curse too loud.
You said puck you. That's what you said.
That would have been a good one. Dan had hit me with a golf ball the day before, so I feel like he's kind of kicking my butt all over the place. It is. But yeah, so I took Meadows there. I just thought that I was a spot where in round 21, like there's a chance that works out really, really well. If it doesn't, either he's okay and I can keep him, or I could drop him if he's the same as last year. I just think it's a spot that like there's a ton of upside there that I fully understand it's probably a small percentage, but in round 21, I really like getting Meadows.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. And then rounding it out, just another catcher. I got Corey Kluber, which could work out really badly. Then some names that I love. I look at Lamont Wade and Josh Donaldson, who nobody's surprised that I take either of those guys. Right. Brian Dela Cruz, I do like him. Miami hits the ball hard. It sounds like he's going to make the team. They're kind of a mess with playing time, so I don't know how it's going to work out. But so late that it's who knows there. But I was pleased, but not overly pleased. I'm not one that like walks out of a job like, oh, I love this, I killed it. I felt like I struggled a little bit in the middle rounds, which I need to fix before Monday and Wednesday. I need to kind of work out who if pitching goes early again, what I'm going to do in those rounds.
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna have to hurry on that. Monday draft is not that far away.
Yeah, I think mine's a little earlier in the day than yours is too. So I don't have a lot of time with the turnaround, but I'm gonna try and figure out those ranges. But anything else on your mind? We've been out here a little bit. It's always a fun podcast after we get back from Vegas. I know a little bit long here, but I wanted to thank everybody for listening. I want to thank everybody for hanging out when we were in Vegas. It was so fun to meet so many new people. So fun to see old friends and see people that I talked to online or on DMs, wherever it is during the year. it's a great group of people. Again, I can't recommend enough. Everybody was really cool. Thanks to Mike the Mouth for putting on the party on Friday night. It was really cool. Him to put that together. It was really fun. It was a great room. Everybody was there that was drafting. There was like over 100 people. There was only 120 teams drafting. So like almost everybody was there. It was a great time. It was fun. I always look forward to the weekend. Sometimes it works out great. Sometimes it works out just good. This is one of the weekends that worked out really, really great.
Fantastic time. Yeah. Hat tip to the Mirage again. Really fun place. Fun
Yep.
time hanging out in the sports book there. Didn't play a single hand of poker. I that was weird for me to go to Vegas and not even like approach it, like even think like, oh, I have time. No, I was book solid the whole time and I didn't miss it. I'll do it next time.
Yeah, I was gonna say when we played once we played golf, that takes away Friday. Like it's obviously worth it. It was fun, but we were scheduled pretty hour to hour.
Yeah, and it was excellent. So yeah. Buzzing off that, we'll have another draft high tomorrow and another one on Wednesday, and then we get to watch our players right away and get angry at them.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's great until I have a pitcher give up 5 runs in the first inning and I never want to play anymore. So it's fun. I love it. It's a great hobby, great people. So appreciate everybody listening. I want to thank everybody there. I want to thank Fantrax and Underdog for their sponsorship of the podcast. You want to follow Jeff on Twitter? He's at Jeff_Erickson. I am at Scott Jenstad. We'll be talking a lot of baseball for the next 6 months on there. And obviously we'll be back at you next Sunday night and every Sunday night through the season, Jeff, right?
Every Sunday night. Looking forward to it.
Good. I look forward to it also. Definitely one of the highlights of my week. So one thanks everybody for listening. Hope everybody has a good last 3 days of drafting, and we look forward to talking actual baseball results with you next Sunday night. Take care.